Angular has introduced modern template syntax starting from Angular 17. But before jumping into the new syntax, it's very important to understand why the old syntax exists, why it still works, and why Angular introduced the new one. So let's see this practically with code. First, we will create a project in Angular. This is our local host in which Angular website will be opened. 40, localhost to 4200. Before writing modern template syntax like @if, @for, and @differ, we first need to understand the component logic behind it. So let's break down in app.ts. Here we are importing component from Angular core to create the component. An component is a component decorator. Selector means this component will be rendered inside app root tag. Common module is very important because it provides common directives like ngIf, ngFor, and also enable modern syntax support. Even with modern syntax, common module is still required. Standalone true tells Angular that this component does not depend on any module. This is the modern Angular way, no module required. Inside import, we explicitly import common module, and template URL points to our HTML file where we will write old and modern syntax. This variable is used for conditional rendering is login. Both ngIf and @if will depend on this variable. Users, this array is used to demonstrate looping. We will loop over this list using both ngFor and the new for syntax. Role variable represents users' different role. We will use this to demonstrate conditional rendering with ngSwitch and the new @switch syntax. Show content variable controls the @differ block. By default, it's false, so Angular will not load deferred content. Once it becomes true, Angular loads the content lazily. Toggle login method toggles the login state. It's triggered when the user clicks a button in the template. This this helps us visually see how both old and new conditional syntax behaves. Load content method. This method is used for @differ. When the button is clicked, show content becomes true. Angular then loads the deferred content. So this app.ts file provides all the data and logic. In app.html, we already have a built-in code. First, we will remove that HTML code. Here, ngIf checks a condition and adds or removes elements from the DOM. Notice that to handle the else condition, we need ngTemplate. This works perfectly, but as templates grow, readability becomes difficult. So Angular introduced modern syntax to improve readability, reduce boilerplate, improve performance, and prepare Angular for the future uses in more easy way. Now let's see modern @if syntax. This replaces ngIf and there will be no ngTemplate, no extra syntax. Here I have encountered a error in text @if is not used, and hashtag 64 and semicolon is used in place of @. Now it looks like normal programming logic, so it's easier to understand. To loop data, Angular provided ngFor. Now if I write ngFor in UL tag, then user's data will appear multiple times. Here we can see @if also an old ngFor. So we will use ngFor in li tag, list tag. This works fine, but for performance we often need track by, which adds extra code and functions. Modern for this replaces ngFor. Here, tracking is built in, so we don't need a separate track by function. This is more cleaner than ngFor. We can see the output. For multiple conditions, Angular provided ngSwitch. Logic is spread across multiple directives, which reduces readability. In between div and ngSwitch, there should be a gap. Modern switch template. Modern switch syntax replaces ngSwitch. It looks exactly like switch case in C Sharp or Java, so it's very beginner friendly. At the rate differ is modern feature which is important in Angular. Earlier, Angular supported lazy loading mainly using roots and modules. That work well, but it's heavy when we just want to delay a small part of UI. So for that we use at the rate differ. This delays loading of content until a condition becomes true. Angular does not load this block initially. Only when show content becomes true, Angular loads and renders it. That's it for today. Thank you.